Welcome to the Bates Dance Festival at home. I am so glad that you could join us tonight for this virtual event. My name is Shoshona Courier. I am the director of the Bates Dance Festival.
And I'm Allie James. I am the director of training programs. Today we're joining you from Lewiston, Maine on the traditional land of the Wabanaki people.
And we are so happy to be in virtual space with you.
And in real space with our students, artists, faculty, staff, interns, and our community.
And with each other. This summer, all of the performances that we're presenting were curated with safety in mind. Work will be presented outdoors, on film, and online. We adapted to protocols, and this performance series is engaging, innovative, and one of a kind. And safe.
This summer, we're thrilled to be joined by a small cohort on campus for our professional training program, and very much looking forward to a full return of all of our programs in 2022.
Our box office is downtown this year at LA Arts at 221 Lisbon Street. Hi, Kristen. Hi, Betsy. And our performances are all over town, thanks to our amazing production team, Justin and Chelsea. Hi.
Of course, we couldn't do this without everybody behind the scenes. To our advisory board, the Bates College support staff, our tech team, our videographers, our interns, and our staff that works year-round, we thank you so very much.
Thank you so much to our funders, National Endowment for the Arts, New England Foundation for the Arts, the Maine Arts Commission, the Onion Foundation, the Morton Kelly Charitable Trust, National Performance Network, Platts Associates, Shapiro Family Foundation, and Androscoggin Savings Bank. And thank you to our individual donors. You mean the world to us. A full list of those donors can be found on our website at batesdancefestival.org. We couldn't do this without your support.
We're so grateful that you all have joined us tonight. Please enjoy the event.
Hello, welcome to our artist conversation tonight. We're here live in Lewiston, Maine with our awesome PTP students who are in their second week of the festival. Do we want to say hi to them? Yay! And we also have folks joining us from all over via computers. Welcome, however you're tuning in. We're glad you're here. Tonight, we have the great privilege of hearing a conversation between Claudia Lavista, Scotty Hardwig, and Albert Mathias, who are currently teaching a course in our PTP program on interdisciplinary composition. And they'll also be performing this Friday and Saturday at 7:30, their work Engram 4. And that's a virtual performance. So wherever in the world you are, you can tune in. We're really grateful to have you all here and grateful to have you here with us or at home. I'm going to turn the mic over to the art. Thanks. Enjoy.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming and thank you for being in your house watching at us. This is weird always because this is so hybrid and we are live and at the same time we are on internet and it's just a little complicated and we are getting used to. So my name is Claudia Lavista. I'm a Mexican choreographer, dancer, and teacher. And I'm going to try to be brief and fast because it's a long story. But long story short, in 1992, can we have the first image, please? We founded a company. So my partner in work and his name is Manuel Ruiz. We founded a company called Delfos Contemporary. So next year, we're turning 30 years old, actually. And yeah, it's almost like a miracle, you know, to have a company that has survived for 30 years is like really, I mean, you don't even were born. Well, some of you did, but not everyone. And so, and we have done many things in 30 years, as you can imagine. Like we have done everything that you can imagine, like from dancing in a gay pub to make money, to dance in a very fancy theater, to tour all over the place, to make site-specific work, to work with elders, to do social work, a lot of social work. I will talk about that a little bit more later, and to have a school. So we moved in 1998, so 6 years after we founded the company. We moved to Mazatlan. Can we have next, please? And Mazatlan is a beautiful town by the ocean, and it's at the Pacific Ocean. And we found a perfect place there to make a school. And what we ended up doing is an interdisciplinary BFA program that is totally cheap. It's, oh my God, you will laugh if you know the price of it. And we have graduated 21 generations of dancers and choreographers and teachers. And what has been really amazing and beautiful and remarkable is that all of these graduate students, alumni, now they have their own projects, and some of them have like also educational projects, social projects, artistic projects, and they are all over the place in Mexico, and they are also in other countries because we get a lot of international artists and students to come and study with us. Can we have next? So the name of the school is Escuela Profesional de Danza de Mazatlan, which is EPDM. And one of the things about the school is that, well, we created the school, we created the programs. And so the way that we did this is that we imagined the school that we would have loved to study at, right? So it's a very crazy school. It's totally interdisciplinary. It has a lot of freedom. We encourage quirkiness, you say, when you're quirky? Yeah.
Quirky, yes. Quirky works.
Well, we encourage that, right? We don't care if your hair is painted in blue, white, whatever, you know, because what we really are trying to do in the school is just to provide a platform for the student to become who he wants to become or she wants to become in life. So we don't dictate a certain specific way to do dance or to think about yourself as an artist. But we just give like a wide range of opportunities and information, and then each one is going to go the way they want to go. So that has been a whole process of understanding how education should work. And I actually think we have succeeded. I'm very proud. I'm very happy about that. So can we have next? So the school is actually placed in two beautiful spaces, which is, you can see that right there. So the company is a resident company of this beautiful opera house, which is the Teatro Ángela Peralta. And this beautiful theater is 5 blocks away from the ocean. Like we walk to the beach, you know, whenever we're stressed, we say, like, go walk on the beach and then come back, you know? So it's really beautiful. And then there's a building next door, who actually hosts the school. But this is a very special school because it's a municipal center for the arts. So there's not only dance, it's not only our school, but there's a lot of schools there. So it's musical school, theater school, visual arts school. And so we get like 760 students each day of different areas in the arts. And one of those, it's our school. So we are all the time colliding with other arts, which is beautiful. Can we go next? And so the philosophy of the school and the company is to be a research laboratory. So can we go next? We are all the time researching in new things. And we have been able to develop aesthetic, and a way to do things just because it's a normal way to do it, like as a human life, you find your own way to do things. But we are always trying to unjust ourselves, if that makes sense, that word, like to be out of our comfort zone and to say, oh, let's be uncomfortable for a while and see what happens. And so we are, in that sense, we are all the time inviting other artists to work with us. So it could be choreographers or visual artists or painters or photographers or musicians or colleagues in choreography or, whatever makes you move in a different way, not only physically, but also intellectually and spiritually. And, we are just very open to see the world. Can we go next? And so when we founded the company, so the mission of the company is the education and training of professional artists, capable of developing as dancers, choreographers, teachers, producers, and promoters of contemporary dance. But now, having said that, I don't think it's only of contemporary dance. I think it's of an artist thinking. Makes sense? Like, I don't know if I can call what I'm doing now contemporary dance. I don't think so. Like, I don't think that's the right name. I don't want to put a name on it. So I think that we are right now in that era where it's hard to name our work because we are just doing social work and we are colliding with so many other things, science and social issues and maybe feminism or, so it's hard to call your work in just one way. Can we go next? So the school has 20 years of experience and a kind of 180 graduate students, and 80% of them are active artists, which is actually really rare. The way things work in Mexico are different than in the States and in Latin America in general. So if you, Marin Day, she has been there, and these guys also work a lot with Latin American people. We have just a different logic. We have less economical resources, of course, because we are the third world, right? But somehow we just have learned how to collaborate in a way that we just make things happen, with whatever money we have. And so that's what has been happening with the school as well. So for example, Scotty, and he can talk more about that, have worked with graduate students from the school who live in Ecuador or Colombia or other things. And we are really focused on building a network. I really feel that the only way to survive right now is to have a really strong network. But that network cannot only be to get work or to get a job, but it needs to be an emotional network. I don't know if that makes sense at all. So it's a network of friends. And that's what we are trying to build, like a network of family members and friends. And we do have, that's what I wanted to tell you, we have a residency program. So we receive every year around 3 or 4 students from anywhere in the world. And they come and they experience the school between 3 months and 1 year. So if you want to come to the school, you just need to get in touch with us. And every year we have an open call for that. And then we just choose 4 people because we don't have a space. And it's very, very cheap. I can talk about that more later. Can we go to the next? I'm not going to go over all these, but just for you to know about the school, we have a lot of like the program itself has a lot of activities and classes. So we have from ballet to mobile floor, which is something that I'm going to be teaching on Saturday, actually. So you will get to see that. Yeah. And choreography and music, literature, theater, arts, drawing, carving, arts history, anatomy and biomechanical integration, dance history, musical editing, video editing, physical theater, philosophy, production, open workshops, etc. So it's very wide. Like the information you get as a student there is really big. Actually, let's go to the next one and the next one. I'm not going to stop on the next one, but here. So that's the company of years ago. And one thing that has been very beautiful about the company is that we have had the luck to travel all over the place, like really touring a lot in the world. But the way that we like to tour is just to go to a place and really connect with the artists there. So every time we tour everywhere, like anywhere, we connect with someone or a couple of things. So three people or four people. And then what we try to do is we try to build bridges. So I see actually ourselves as a bridge builder. You know, it's more than anything, we really love to build bridges between communities, countries, people, activities, arts, you know, collaborators. So we are all the time searching for that. Can we go to the next one? So in that sense, we do a lot of exchange projects. So with companies or with artists themselves. Let's go to the next one. And I love these pictures because actually my sister Kathleen is right there. Look. So there you can see some people from here, actually from Bates. So and we have Vladimir from Colombia and Michael Foley and Angie and Chris and Kathleen and beautiful people. So these are some of the examples that have come to the school to give us something new. And then, you know, we try to collaborate with them in many different ways. Can we go to the next? So we really like to map our activity. And so we created this little map where we want to make sure we know who are we connected with. So these are the countries that we are connected with now. And these connections can go like through collaborations with other artists or students that have come to the school and now they live in these places. So now we are trying to build these bridges with them and their own projects. It's a way to actually feed each other. You know, I also think that that's the only way to survive now, just to feed each other in many different ways. Let's go to the next one, please. So for example, some of the examples of these collaborations that we do is in Canada with Winnipeg Contemporary Dancers, in Colombia with Cortocinesis and ASAP, which is a university, in Czech Republic with the Duncan Center, in Ecuador with Javier, which is a graduate student, in England with an organization called Outreach International, in Lithuania with a company called Aura, Festival, Middlebury School, Virginia, right? So we are all the time trying to do that. Let's go to the next one. So, and again, we have this residency program and this exchange program. And if someone who is seeing us online, you just can go to the webpage, delfosdanza.org, and you will find information there. And you guys who are here, you can ask me, and I will happily tell you that. Okay, let's go to the next one. So since 12 years ago, we started this project that we really, oh, no. Next one, step forward. Sorry. One more. Great, thank you. We started this project, which is called Habitat. I don't know how to say habitat in English. Habitat. Okay, great. That's easy. We live in Sinaloa, and Sinaloa is a narco state, right? So it's violent. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of abuse there. There's a lot of drugs, and there's a lot of poverty. And since 12 years ago, we decided to go to the poorest areas in Mazatlan and bring dance actually as a social activism, but also as a social experiment on empathy. You know, we wanted to see what happens when you just put two people together to dance, and then what happens from there. Can we go to the next one? And it has been a life-changing experience, not for them, for us. You know, I mean, of course, for the communities as well. Can we go to the next one? So we have been working with kids, but also with young people, and then we started to work with the mothers because they were just there sitting, waiting for the kids, and we were like, "Hey, let's put them to something," and they started to dance together. And I have a really nice story. Once I was talking to one of these ladies, and I say, "Well, we are almost done in the year, like in this program. So I just want to know what is the most precious thing that happened to you while dancing with your neighbors." And I was thinking that she was going to tell me, "Oh, I love dance and I love the movement and the way I move and blah, blah, blah." And then she suddenly said, "Well, you know, what I like the most is that now I'm friend with my neighbors." And I was like, "Oh my God, what a beautiful thing, you know? They're friends now. You know, what's the best way to build a community like that?" So I was like, okay, then we're doing a good work. Let's go to the next one, please. I'm just showing you some pictures of this experience because we give them like dance lessons, but then we do shows and we bring, like, the school performs from there, the company performs from the communities, and then it's the community who's performing for the community, and that's the best. That's like a huge party. It's beautiful. Let's go to the next one. So you're seeing there's some pictures of this. They're a little small though. So let's go to the next one. So honestly, I feel that we created a project of our dreams, honestly, and this dream is constantly moving and changing. Let's go to the next one. And so I like this quote: "We invite others to immerse in this experience." Let's go to the next one, please. "And explore their potential as an art creator, social change agent, performer, immersive in their creative madness." No, I feel that we are all a little mad, and I love to embrace that madness, and I love to push that madness like even farther, you know, and see what happens. So this is pretty much what I have been doing for the last 30 years. So I don't know. I think that's enough. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to show the videos. I want to finish with this.
Are you sure?
Yeah, well, do you think I should
Delfos trailer, just so they get a sense of what
Well,
the company does?
Oh, I don't even have the Delfos trailer here. But if you want to see the Delfos trailer, which I think it's a good idea, just go to the webpage. So it's delfosdanza.org.
When you came here, just a little bit about, because I feel like you were on this exchange that you're speaking about happened here.
Well, some of it.
Well, 12 years ago, I met you for sure, and I could still remember seeing you like, "Howdy, man."
Yeah. All right. Sure. Yeah, sure. So, sure. So I came here as an artist in residency in 2012. That was right? And Kathleen and Albert were teaching, and they are like rock stars. I mean, they were totally rock stars. Everyone wanted to take their classes because they were wild. And I was one of the eager one, like, I just want to be with these guys. So I jumped into the class with Omar, who used to be my husband. And we just got totally crazy and you know, happy. And, you know, I don't know, it was so exciting, you know. And so, and then I stayed here for 3 weeks, and we were doing a work, Omar and I, exploring, just as a visitor artist. And then by the end, we had this meeting with the rest of the faculty, and I was just crying because I was like, "Oh my God, I have just discovered a totally different side of USA. Like, my vision of USA is so different now, because I'm from Mexico, people, and we are the backyard. That's the way the president in this country called us. Oh, you're the trash backyard from the US, you know." And so I was like, I can curse, I know, but almost. You know, I was like, no, we're not. And we should, I mean, I wish I could find people to talk about this and to share with. And so the first time I came to the Bates Dance Festival, that's exactly what happens to me. And it was very touching. I felt very touching. And then I came back as a teacher. Look at me, yeah. And so I have been coming back since then. And so that's 13 years or something like that, or something like that.
But we also went to you and had the same experience.
So, yeah. So you talk about that now. Okay, yeah. And so that's how I met Scotty as well, you know. And so many of the people that I'm collaborating now, I met them here. And so I'm telling you this, guys, because I mean, it's very probably that we are going to collaborate in the future somehow, and this is the perfect place. This is a perfect space to do that. Bates, it's magical in that sense. And then you find friends and you find a family, and that's forever. So I really feel part of this family. This is my family, and I just can't be more happy to be here, after the pandemic and all of that. I'm like, oh, this is such a blessing. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so if you want to see that, you can see that. We're going to talk about what we have been doing together, which is Engram 4. I'm working on a totally different project now, and maybe we can show a little bit of that so that you can see a little bit of the company. So let's go to LCS Procesos demo, please, Linz. Yeah. So let's see. I'm making a piece now called Las Cosas Simples, the simple things. I'm kind of obsessed with that topic now, like what is really important, and I'm getting to the point that it's just the simple things, like a leaf falling down, like my foot touching the grass, like my hand on my father's back, when I see my daughter into her eyes. Those are the things that matter to me now. I don't care about winning prizes or having a lot of money or I don't know. I'm just like into simplicity now. Oh yeah, you can play it, please. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you. So you're gonna just see like little images of the process of the creation. This is just from, oh, but no sound, please. Thank you. Yeah. So we take, so that's our studio in Mazatlan, actually. And this is my beautiful family there. These are Delfos dancers. And this is a research that we have been doing. So the piece is not ready yet. I'm still working. I'm crafting this. It's so hard. Oh my God. It's just, oh God, I get so confused. And I'm working in a very cinematographical way. I'm very interested right now in pictures and memory, and how when you see a picture, it brings you a memory. And if I see the same picture with my mom and we are both in the picture, she's going to have a memory and I'm going to have another one. So I'm working a little bit with those ideas in this section. So the piece is divided in 5 sections. And I haven't done the final one. I don't know exactly how to end the piece, but it will come. So, well, this was just filmed in April. We were working on the piece. So the dancers of the company, this is, I really want to say that about that. All of them actually, except for Citlali, they're all graduate students. So we have been working together for years. So they spent 4 years in the program, and some of them have been working with us for like 15 years. Citlali has been with us for 25 years. Like something like when people comes into the company, they just don't want to leave, and sometimes they go and they come back. That happens very often, and they're really amazing and I love them. And so I'm also working a lot based on images. So as I was telling in the workshop, my obsession of working with Pinterest, it's also here. So I have my Pinterest board, my special Pinterest board for this piece, right? And so, and this piece actually is gonna have 2 different places to go, like 2 different platforms. One is the scenic one. So this piece is gonna be premiere the September 21st this year. Can we go to the other one, which is Desnuda, something like that is the name? Because the other platform of the piece, it's video dance. Because of the COVID, we opened a channel, Delfos TV. So we have a channel now, and we are creating all these pieces for that channel specifically, right? And so I decided to double create this idea. So and as we were talking in the workshop, there's one way to do something for the scene, for the scenario, and when you do that on a video dance, the rules and the logic is totally different. So it's been a very interesting process for my brain just to do that. Oh, no, that's not the one. No, it's the one that it's called Fragmentos Cortos. Yeah, sorry, Lynn. Sorry. Yeah. fragment. So I just want to show you a little bit of what the video dance it's gonna look like. So I'm working with Alexander Dam. He's a filmmaker and he's my partner. And so yeah, and so this yeah exactly. Yeah, very handsome. So he's actually doing all the the filming and the editing of this, and Albert Mathias is making the music for this work, which is awesome. So that's another collaboration that we are doing, you know. So anyway, you'll see this. I mean, I think this is going to be ready by November, something like that. But I'll send you the invitation. We just talk about that later. So, you know, I feel that it's hard for me to talk about my work because I'm always doing something. I'm always curious about something, and I'm always researching on something new. So we did Engram 4 last year, and then right away I started to think about this piece, and I started to work on this piece. And now I'm already talking to a Scotty like, okay, what's next? What are we gonna do next? You know, like waka. So, and I feel that because when you have this impulse of creation, it's just a way of life. It's not something that you do. You know, it's not, oh, I do this. No, it's just, if I don't do this, I don't breathe. I feel like I'm dying. So I just need to be creative all the time. Okay. Do you want to talk about Mazatlan?
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
In the sense that
please.
I will just second that I do think I went to a lot of universities with Kathleen Hermersdorf, and I went to Delfos school is how I call it. And I was blown away. And it was like food for us at that time. And I remember Kathleen and I left this place going, we're coming back next year. I don't care what they say, we're coming back. Like, so I highly encourage you to do it. I have an apartment there, I'm already there. So.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, it's your turn. Oh, I just want to say something. So yeah, very, very. So the school and the company, I found it with my partner in work, which is Manuel Ruiz. But then I cannot. I mean, the whole school project, although we are like the directors, the truth is that it's a totally teamwork. Like, it's impossible for us to do that without our dancers and without the team of teachers. Everyone there is very crazy. Everyone there, they have the same kind of thinking as us, you know, which is a weird profile to find. So I'm super proud of this team of people. Yeah.
It's a super inspiring place. I feel a little weird talking after that. Like, I feel when I'm talking about my work, I feel a little bit like Emily Dickinson locked away in my Appalachian cabin in comparison. I was going to say something. The amazing thing about Delfos, before I talk about my work, is that school, I think it has like totally pollinated the contemporary dance scene in Latin America. So like 2 continents have been pollinated with contemporary dancers from that school, which I find to be like just incredible. And I loved being there too, and I can't wait to go back. It's like a wonderful and bizarre group of people. And actually, some of the excerpts that I'm going to show today are collaborations with graduate alumni from that school. So I suppose I should talk about myself just briefly. And I was going to show a couple works to kind of maybe let the work speak for itself a little more. I'm sort of similarly uncomfortable in these kinds of situations, defining like what I am and what I do. I think that's why, you know, we get along so well, is because we're both research artists. And so I think what that means is that every piece has a really different flavor to it, and every piece has a different set of tools. I think the commonality between a lot of the projects that I do, despite being with different groups of collaborators and often in different countries on different continents, is that I work a lot with media. So when people ask, I usually say I'm a movement and media artist. I'm a movement artist who also works with a variety of media. So that's I really started in screen dance, like as a genre and as a form. But like a lot of my works with technology, I'm not really interested in the technology itself. I'm more interested in the creative potentials that it allows me to do. And so for screen dance, it really just quite simply allowed me to be outside. Like, I am really interested in questions of the human body in contrast to the environment. I think it's a really deeply powerful and moving experience, but also at this moment in time, a deeply sad one. So I was interested in figuring out the techniques and the emotional relationships between the dancing body and environmental spaces. And for those, for the students who are in my workshop, like when I work with people in terms of in a dancing relationship, I do exercises like the one we did, like where we work on framing. We work with a lot of touch-based exercises to sort of treat the human body, the human nervous system as a sensor. And which in one way of thinking, like that's what our nervous systems do. We take in information from our environment through exteroception, and then we output movement back out into the world as agents, and in the same way that most animal forms of life do. And so that's one of the ways that I sort of think about movement, not necessarily from the terminology of like a movement language, but rather I let the form of the movement emerge from the function of the space or the media that I'm using. And that results in wildly different pieces. So it just becomes really hard to kind of like explain what it is. I'm also a scholar, like I'm interested in history, I'm interested in ecology and philosophy. And so it's hard for me to sort of divest those two identities, which I think you might see in the work. There's something kind of, I feel like, existential about what I'm after. Which is often unclear, and it often feels like I'm chasing it like a cat with a laser pointer. Like I'm never gonna find it, but it's just, I'm sort of like chasing the joy of whatever that thing is. So I thought I'd start by just showing some excerpts of some films. I think I'll start with, and actually I wanted to ask, is it possible to lower the lights? Just in the back, maybe? I'll show you a trailer from my oldest, most recent film, which is called Our Last Aria, that I filmed in Death Valley, California in the winter. There's no other time to film there. I brought down two collaborators of mine, Keanu Forrest Brady, who I've been working with for years, and James Mario Bowen, who was dancing with me in a company called Axis Dance Company, based in Oakland. And I brought them down into the desert, and we spent 5 days filming. So I'll just show this excerpt. It's very short. It's a trailer. Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem.
The sand remembers us. In devastation, primrose evening, as valley breath grows thin, a stone engraved apocrypha in memory of the Holocene. The sixth is here. For us and us, the mammoths tend and heed the air.
Made with the National Ballet of Ecuador, the contemporary company of the National Ballet of Ecuador, which was an invitation from one of the alumni of the school. He was working there at the time, Javier Caicida Perez. And I would love if we could start this one at 1:30, at minute 1:30 seconds. Not that the first duet is not amazing, it is, but I would just prefer to show the second half. Can you tell me where it is? Absolutely, keep going. These two guys are amazing. But just for the sake of time, I'll just cut this duet out. Right there. Awesome, thank you. Can we hit the lights and then play? You can clap if you want to. It's not required. I really love this piece. Oh, sorry. I'll pause. How long is enough? Okay, cool. I really love this piece. It's much longer than this. It's actually about 20 minutes long, which unfortunately means that I am not able to screen it very many places. The way that the screen dance circuit works is that usually they're looking for something between 7 and 12 minutes. Our last aria did very well. It's screened at like 20 different festivals, which, by the way, if you want to see it, I've retired it from the circuit. So now it's online on my website at anatomyzero.com if you want to watch it in full. And what to say about these two pieces? Our last aria was an incredible filming experience, and I often find that these projects are dance experiences like no other. Like, the ground was literally moving. We were dealing with sandstorms and winds that would rise up and literally move the ground as we were filming and dancing. And so when I'm thinking about creating movement material, it's always this process of adaptation. Like, we may design something in the studio, but it always gets adapted to the space. And everything is always in this constant period of changing. The other thing about Where the Sky Embraced Us that I find really interesting is that those two solos happen literally right next to each other in space in downtown Quito, in Ecuador. And what's kind of amazing to me as I look back at it, I'm thinking about it, is like there's so much that's possible within this art form. It's so distinct. And through the process of editing, you can make a tiny space that's like 4 feet by 4 feet, a whole world. I'm thinking about Gustavo's solo at the end. I mean, it's just like a whole world all his own with just a chair and a yellow wall. And so for me, the emergence of movement and cinema, it just gives me so many possibilities, and it lets me kind of flex into imaginary areas that you can do on stage, but it gives it another life. It gives it another kind of meaning and metaphor. And so when I was talking about the body as a sensor, I sort of try to bring that out in the studio practice and in the filming practice. And I actually also have moved into using actual sensors. So I do a lot of work with motion capture. I'm currently a professor at Virginia Tech, which is an engineering school, and half of my job is teaching, but the other half is research. So I basically, half of my time is doing projects with people like Claudia and Albert and creating work with wacky forms of technology. Again, not necessarily because it's cool, although that helps with the funding bodies. It's, for me, more about, like, how can I extend or enhance or question my own sensations? How can I use these tools as a sensation bridge, basically? And I think the aesthetic play becomes really, really interesting. So I'd love to show you actually a stage piece that I made 2 years ago called Body Full of Time. And you'll see in the piece I'm wearing a motion capture suit. And so there's a moment in the dance where I have a duet with an avatar of me that's coded to respond in a variety of different ways. We transform the stage into a gigantic flatbed scanner, which you'll also see. And so the piece is a mixture of all these different analogs, so like traditional scenic designs and hyper digital scenography. So yeah, let's just look at that. So this is the trailer from Body Full of Time, just to get a flavor of what that looks like.
Mike, folks, look, feel it. Bye, FC1. Hi, here's any. Mike, Paul, look,
Now is the time. Mind, body, spirit, Appalachia. staged piece, a stage piece.
The audience online won't be able to hear.
A stage piece. Where we used and also I might mention that the scenic elements, like the mask I was wearing, is actually a 3D scan of my face and hands that we reconfigured into a mask of my face with antlers. So we were dealing with like replications of the body. Those of you who are familiar with Walter Benjamin, who published this I would say famous art history article on the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction, basically was talking about like what's the value of art in an era where you can just take a photo or a selfie of Mona Lisa and then put it up online and then everyone has access to it. It sort of is a rebellion against the mainstream art movement where the work of art has an aura. And you go to the museum and you pay money and the art is worth something because it has this aura. And what happened in the 20th century is that starts to break down. And I would argue that we're kind of in a very similar inflection point. I don't know exactly what its dimensions are, but like what does the body mean when it's not about flesh and blood anymore? Like what is me when my identity is fractured between the me that you're seeing? I'll just show, are we back? Awesome. I'll just maybe show one more thing and then we can move on to talking about Ngram, which you all will see. And those of you at home who wish to see it can log in and see it. But so along those lines, what I started to get interested in is creating works that were entirely in no space at all in virtual reality. So I want to show you, maybe I'll show you another trailer because of the time. I just finished working with a suite of works that take place in no space. They take place in virtual reality, so the audience experiences them wearing virtual reality headsets, but they work in cinematic form too. And they're all motion capture recordings of my body that we've then composed and organized in a variety of surreal virtual landscapes. I'll leave it at that. Can we show the one that's Time Garden, the trailer? It's been tricky to know what to do with them because right after we finished creating them, COVID hit, and they're experienced by putting something on your face and then transferring it to another person to put on their face. So we've done some of them as films. We'll see where it goes. It's sort of like, it feels a little bit like dance sci-fi in the sense that I'm not sure where it goes or what it's for. It was beautiful to work on them. I should also, I know we're running low on time, but I have amazing collaborators, visual artist Zach Dewar and Charles Nichols doing the sound for those pieces. In all of these processes, I have incredible teams of collaborators that I'm just like super grateful for. And this team to transition before we go to questions, because then COVID-19 hit and I don't want to say too much of the backstory, but we got together to create a work to perform over Zoom. And I know some of you have seen this, but maybe the folks at home haven't. So maybe we could play the trailer for Engram 4, which is the piece that we're premiering, our New England premiere of it here on Friday and Saturday at 7:30. Thank you so much. Light Patrol. Maybe we could.
You can talk about the music.
Do you want to talk about the music? Do you want to open it to questions from people, or you can open it? You want to open it? Yeah, you can open it. Maybe.
My handlers don't usually give me a microphone. I could talk about music for another 3 hours.
Yeah, at this juncture, maybe we could take like 10, 15 minutes because we just talked about a lot of information. It's a lot. There's 3 of us. But anything y'all have been thinking about or questions you might want to ask, let's go for it. Do you want to go and hand a microphone?
Yeah. Do you want to pick someone or I pick someone?
Can you?
Okay. Elizabeth. Just talking to here, okay?
I think that my question's not about the last film. Is that okay? Can it be just more from a different part of the talk? It doesn't need to be about Engram Fort.
No, it could be about anything.
Oh, lovely. Okay. Scotty, I was thinking a lot about how you've filmed yourself and you've used yourself in these dance films, but you've also filmed on, other dancers and artists and then edited them. And I was wondering if the process is ever different. Like, do you find yourself more or less willing to do certain things to are you more self-critical when you're watching yourself do something? Are you more open to doing new things when it's somebody else? I don't know. I was just interested in kind of the difference in that process.
I don't enjoy watching myself. And when it comes to creating cinematic work, it's always really tricky because I have a lot of experience working with cameras. And sometimes when I'm working in a really free and open collaborative way, people are like, but now you, go and I'll film you. And it gets really tricky because the cinematic eye is, I often talk about this, the cinematic eye is sometimes selfish. And what that means is that, especially if you work with a camera the way I do, which is super embodied and not the way people work with cameras in the film industry, it's much more improvised. Everybody has their own unique voice. And so if you change up camera people, you get a different piece entirely. This is kind of what we're talking about in the workshop in terms of choice making. Different artists make choices differently. And so I find with a camera and working on a dance film, it really is useful to have one director. This is just what I have found. I mean, it depends. It depends on how you're working with the camera. But when other people are filming me, I'm you direct. You direct. Let's kind of keep the separation of spheres. I find it to be helpful in terms of clarity. But yes, I do suffer from the I don't really like watching myself on video. Even watching Body Full of Time of people love that piece, but I'm looking at it now and I'm oh my gosh. But also I have this thing where with pieces that are more than a year old, I'm so over them. I want to do something else, which is why it was really hard for me to dance in a repertory company because you do the same show for 2 years or more. And that's really hard for me to do, which is why I didn't remain in that sort of sphere. And it's the same when I'm watching video of myself. If it's from more than a year ago, I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? But it's new for y'all. So you can have your thoughts about it and don't listen to me. You know what I mean?
So many. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine.
Hi, my question is actually for Albert. With all of the music we've been hearing, some that has been composed by you, I was wondering if when you are working in collaboration with the choreographers and dancers, if you have much guidance. Is it all like improvised? And like just listening to some of your music, you don't hear that many classical like instruments, quotes around both of those words. So yeah, I was just wondering about your music process.
In terms of composition, if I understand the.
Yes.
So for me, I'm more of an autodidact, so I mostly learn from failure. So I've mostly learned by doing the wrong thing first. But for me, actually, I don't think through composition. I think space and play rooms and bodies and listen a lot. And I was talking today a bunch about like oral context or sound context, which is like we live in sound context all the time. There's always sound going on that's incidental, and our brains are taking that information in and saying, okay, that's not like a rattlesnake or whatever that might be. It's an okay, like that. It was an alert sound, but we all know it's not ours, so we're cool. Like we're doing that all the time while we're also keeping a focus and judging all the time. So for me, like, it's interesting to listen to other artists talk about that, because I feel like I've arrived at a place where I know less than when I started, and I am my work, and it's really hard for me to like separate it in some ways. But for me, I try to listen for what it needs, and I also try to provide a space for it to occur. So I don't think of those things as compositional per se. And I've never had a mentor that spoke to me about it in this way, but I would say dance has been my mentor. So if one sits sits in a room with no predetermined concepts about musically what I'm supposed to do, and I stay as far away from clever ideas as I can. Like, because I'm not clever. I people often think I'm sophisticated, but I could show you that it's a number of very small tasks in simultaneity happening. And at a certain point, we've talked about this too a lot with Clau. It's like, at what point does your brain become impossible to track and to also critically assess what's happening orally in front of you or around you in a space? And I contest that it's 3 sounds. So if you really dig deep into what you're hearing me do, it may not be 3 musical sounds or 3 musical voices sticking out, but often there'll be an underneath context or a drone, and I often will show up early and tune it to the floor or to the room and spend some time with it and listen and find where that is with no voices, no people, no nothing. And if I've been in a room before, I will save that tuning, and I will and I used to, a long time ago, I used to show up an hour and a half early, because when I started doing this, I had to load my samplers to floppy disks. And that was 2 megabytes of sound. And if it was anything longer than if it was it was 2 disks that you had to load in order. I'm not playing. I mean, and this was also if your laptop had the, all the audio software and free MIDI and like all these other things all installed in the correct order, and it could go down at any moment. So when I first got involved with electronic music, I was very much a drum set player. And I grew up playing drum set, playing jazz, and getting inside of the head of the songwriter and being there for that. So I feel like I've just translated that to being the best accompanist or the best room space cinema creator as I possibly can. Now, speaking to composition, there's absolutely something that evolved out of not having a plan, which is that often choreographers will work in a room and in a space with a number of people with concepts, ideas, flavors, tempos, tones, state work a lot I hear spoken. What happens is hours of time goes by, and often I'm providing an environment for that, and whatever that section might be, I will save that. And I would say that 90% of like at least the live dance stuff my arrangement winds up being what the director chooses in terms of what sections go together. And often they'll change that stuff around. I mean, I've worked for people that said, let's do the last part of the show first tonight. And you go, well, okay, Sarah, thank you. Yeah, it's like, oh, and by the way, Kathleen, can you do my solo? Because I'm not feeling it tonight. You know, I'm straight up. And that's a great thing for someone to have that kind of trust in you. But as a performer, you really have to show up. So anyway, I've found that the more clever ideas I have, the worse I do. The more I set myself up with a good like palette of choices, and the more I trust that when I'm in the moment, if I listen correctly and if I'm ready for it, it will tell me what it needs. And often I'll make a mistake and pull it back. But I often let the sound go through me to you as a dancer or to a space. I try not to focus on what's happening with my eyes and my mind. I try to feel the center and what's happening in the space. I also feel responsible for the tempo in a space. So anytime I've had an accident or some kind of an injury, I've had 2 epileptic seizures over time in a dance class. And I have to acknowledge that I had something to do with it. Like I was pushing the tempo in the room and things got escalated or elevated. People became unconscious. So usually you can use sound to actually create, it seems to me like what I call it, Kathleen and I used to call it puffy suit. Like you could create a puffy suit around people if you create enough warmth in the room and you vibrate the floor a little bit and you wake it up in the right way. All of a sudden, there's no injury that's going to happen because it's like everybody got a puffy suit, like they're wearing those 80s moon boots and like a snowmobile suit. So I do a lot of visualization. For me, it's from the inside out. I have not ever met anyone that does what I do. I'm proud of that, but it's also kind of lonely. And I would attribute it from being in a room with dancers. And basically, it started as a work-study job for me. You know, I was 19 years old, and now, you know, I'll be 50 this year. Still learning. I learned a bunch today.
Can I say something? So I just want to say that really, I feel that it's such a pleasure to work with Albert. I don't know. I trust him so much. So we have been doing, well, first we did a solo. I choreographed a solo. Well, it's an improvised solo. And then he came to Mexico and he was playing live. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I met this guy at Bates, you know, and I was in this class and he was playing in the class. I almost died of excitement, you know, and now here we are. You know, 13 years later, and he's playing live, and I'm dancing. So it was very, very exciting. And then I did another piece for Zoom, and I used just a bunch of music that he has pre-recorded. And then we did Engram, which is something I actually was very interesting because he was creating the music at the same time we were creating the piece. So it was a whole dialogue, a room of dialogue, really, in Zoom. It was very, very interesting. And then now we are doing this project for the video dance, which has a totally different logic because I'm giving him the material edited by Alex. And then he just, well, and I'm giving him some music just to sense what I'm trying. Yeah.
Just go ahead. It's the most gorgeous thing I've seen ever. It took me 2 weeks to even like open it up again and watch it. Like, don't watch it with the sound.
Yeah. So anyway, but and what he delivered from that album part is it's just like over there. I mean, album part is here and Albert is there and it's brilliant, but it's totally different. So it took me a while just to see the piece and say, okay, forget about the other music. Let's see this logic. Let's see this dialogue between dance and music in a different way. And it has been really beautiful. Like I feel blessed. Like, you know, I get to work with him and I get to work with this guy here. With Scotty. With that weird thing.
My favorite part of my like Albert broken version of the Arvo part is actually there's a part where she does this, like walking, and you hear someone walking.
Yeah, you hear someone.
It sounds clever.
It's really clever. It's too psychedelic for it to be clever.
Are we getting our lasts?
Yeah. we're actually going to wrap up for tonight. Thank you so much for this conversation and openness. They'll be here for the week, so if you had questions, come up and talk to them, and you're in class with them. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you to the folks here at home, and their performance, Engram 4, will be virtual. Again, you can watch it from wherever, 7:30 Friday and Saturday this week. BatesDanceFestival.org for tickets and info. Thank you.
Thank you.